Hey everybody, this is Michael Parent from Michael Parent Consulting Services. Today I wanted to give you another demo on how we're using automation to make the lives of employees easier, to improve the quality of business operations, and of course the efficiency and productivity as well. What this is actually a payroll process, and what we did in payroll is we automated a number of manual tasks. I want to show you what those manual tasks looked like and what it looks like after our automation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this file. It's a text file, and this is what payroll was receiving before we were doing everything, where they still received the file, but essentially they have to bring this text file into an Excel. And when you do that, you have to parse a lot of these columns. You have to tell Excel exactly what you want, where you want these columns to be. And this was essentially held in tribal knowledge. There was no standard in place. So essentially, if somebody leaves, if someone gets sick, they're really not able to efficiently and effectively get payroll off the ground here. So we're going to go here. We parse it out correctly. I have that tribal knowledge now. And what's most important about all of this is we have different cost centers, cost codes here. And then we have different amounts that are in column E. And then very importantly, you might have missed it, maybe not, but we have this little dash here. And this actually tells us whether or not we're taking money out of the account or we're putting money into the account. So it's a very small thing. It's easy to miss when you saw us parsing that out. But again, this is manual, it's tribal knowledge. Things can go wrong. And if it does go wrong, we have to redo payroll all over again. Because essentially we're going to put this into a sheet that makes sure our payroll is correct before we run it through our direct deposit system. So, and again, you can see just the number of rows is just ridiculous. We've got several thousand, 8,000 rows or whatever. So there's a lot going on here. They're going to have to do this manually. Maybe they know some worksheet functions, but we also are missing something here. These are not in dollars and cents. They're actually just in cents. So the first thing that we would have to do is we would actually have to divide by 100 for that entire row, entire column. So I'm going to do that. And now they're in dollars and cents. And now we have to apply this logic of, well, if it's equal, if this equals a negative sign, then I want -1 times this amount. Otherwise, I want just that amount. Hopefully you follow that logic. Got the if. And what do you know? So it's working for us. Take this. I'm gonna get down here. Excuse me while I'm fiddling around with this. Yep. So here's what we have. It's taken a little bit of time, and there we can see that this logic is applied correctly. And when we get a negative, we're subtracting that money from the account. Now we've got all of our cost centers that we need to subtract or add money to. And all we have to do is go to this thing called a balancing sheet. And all we have to do now is find these codes and then paste the values in here. So we can see we'll start with TID, and we'll scroll down here and we'll go to TID, and you can see this is going to take a while for somebody to do for several thousand rows. You can find TID, and then we're going to make sure that we get that -26,000 and pasted it in there. Paste it correctly. So you can see all the ways it can go wrong. You can see how timely it is, how manual it is, and just how taxing it is. This is not somebody that nobody gets up in the morning and says, this is the activity I want to do. It's the gears of the business. We've got to keep it moving, but I hate doing this job. So essentially, I'm going to remove this file that we have open. What we did is we said, wouldn't it be better if they clicked a button? And that's exactly what we said. So all we have to do now is tell Excel where that file is located, that text file. And again, you can see here, all of these values are empty, just so you can see it before we go ahead and hit that button. And I want to also, alert you to these cells right here, 813, 814, and 815. So we said it'd be better to click a button. They click that button, and what do you know, in real time, It's actually completely done. We've actually entered in all of these values, all of these, look at this, hundreds of rows. We've entered in all of the values that they needed to immediately. We have traceability up here, so we know exactly where this data came from. We can summarize it down here below in terms of the total add to these different accounts. But most importantly is all the accounts are being populated correctly. They're being populated very quickly, and we're taking all of the manual error out of this. Now, I'm also going to tell you about 8.13 through 8.17. The reason I alerted you to it is because there weren't any codes in here, which means this program also helps identify where codes are missing or if a new cost center is created, and then accurately populates that value as well. So we can do this for as many files as they need. Sometimes they have as many as 50 files, sometimes more. We saved just a ton of money in terms of saved hours and relocated human assets. And that says nothing about the just frustration of getting it wrong, the frustration of having to come in for work and just populating these things manually and doing all these data transformations that could go wrong. So, you know, in terms of a prototypical automation, I'm trying to kind of talk about these ways automation kind of take prototypical forms. This is a solution of find and match, where essentially we have to grab data, we have to find where it belongs, and then we have to paste it in its correct location. And that's essentially what we've done here. Is we've identified those cost centers, we found them on this sheet, and then we've allocated the correct funds to those cost centers. So it was a really fun project. Like I said, it was just a huge impact for the payroll team. They're all very happy about it, and I wanted to pass it along to you just to show you what we can do in Excel. And not everything is smoke and mirrors. There's a lot here that is really just about moving people away from this manual, taxing, redundant, recurring process, and move it into something a little bit more elegant, something that they can feel confident and proud of.